My name is Ed Accura, and I'm the producer of the short film documentary, a film called Blacks Can't Swim. The aim of the film is to understand why there's a disproportionate amount of black people and ethnic minorities that can't and don't swim. On my journey to find the truth, I have the pleasure of speaking with the US Paralympic swimmer on his journey to Tokyo 2020 Olympics, and also making a commitment to teach 1 million people, yes, you heard it right, 1 million people to swim. Mr. Jamal Hill, welcome to In the Deep End with Ed Accura.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Ed, for having me on today.
It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
What's all that?
So I've got some questions for you. 1 million people. Tell me about it. How are you going to do that?
Okay. Well, the inception, probably came about a year ago when I first started with Team USA. I've always wanted to be a champion. And in my eyes, like, being a champion is more than just coming in first place, right? It's really about the impact that you leave on the world, right? So a mission greater than yourself. That's how I came up with this mission. Like, okay, you know what? I'm really great at swimming. I've been, a swim instructor for like almost a decade now. And I'm going to use this platform to reach 1 million people. As of right now, the way I've been doing it is through a pop-up swim school. So I've had a pop-up swim school here in Los Angeles. It's sponsored by a company called Swimply. They're pretty much the Airbnb for residential swimming pools. So every 2 weeks, I put on a 10-day learn to swim course designed to take anyone from I can't swim at all to like, I'm water proficient. I could probably make my way across the pool. I don't have to worry about drowning in any calm water scenario. And, our planning, this is like the first actionable steps that the public has actually been able to see. So our mission is going to be to scale that, get people trained, and really be having these pop-up swim schools all across America, all across the world. Outside of that, me and my coach, we designed a program to help people who actually have a chronic fear of water. So that's clinically diagnosed as aquaphobia. And so, we put on clinics for that, just private training. We're putting that into a book. And, once it's in a book, now it can really get to the masses. So, it's a bit of a cluster here, exactly how we're going to get 1 million. But Jamal Hill, my commitment is to teach 1 million people, but that doesn't mean that I personally will teach 1 million people. It's like, we got to help somebody who helps somebody. And this system is one of the many ways we're going to keep track of that.
And I know I can see your commitment, and I follow you on Instagram, follow you on Twitter. So Swim Uphill is the name of your swimming organization. Firstly, you're black and you're swimming and you're doing all these great things. So that alone must come with its own, shall I say, obstacles. Plus, you have a disability. Just tell us a bit more about your disability.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm glad that you asked me that, brother. So I'm one of every 2,500 people here in the United States that suffer from Charcot-Marie Tooth. I'm still working on international, like getting some international figures so I can really be more well versed with the subject. But essentially, it is a systemic neuropathy. And so what that means particularly is that my peripheral nerves, so everything from my knees down to the soles of my feet, and from my elbows down to my fingertips, have impaired communication with my brain. So pretty much like if I were to get electrocuted in my lower legs, I wouldn't feel it at all. And if I were to get electrocuted in my lower arms, I would only feel it about 30%. So that's really what qualified me to be a part of the Paralympic movement. And again, like I said, this is something systemic. So whereas and this is, again, it's not to like grade anyone's disability or, performance against anyone else's, but this is specifically speaking to the Charcot-Marie Tooth audience and understanding it. It is a systemic disease, so it affects more than just a localized area, right? So if someone were to have polio, right, in the left leg, it would only affect the left leg. Like, that is the extent of it. But with Charcot-Marie Tooth, everything, just the fact that I'm able to walk is really a godsend. Every few months I go to the doctor's office, a new doctor, and they run their tests and they tell me I shouldn't be able to walk. And so just the amount of massive energy it takes for me to walk, let alone like do the, the high caliber training I do every day. massive toll on my body, brother. And also trying to like run these programs, like I probably should be sleeping like 12 hours a day, but I'm lucky if I'm able to get like 8 to 10 with a nap in there. But yeah, that's really what Shark Romery 2 looks like for me. And then just in terms of uphill, it was amazing, right? Because my name is Jamal Hill, so it just kind of went together. But I think that in so many ways, this uphill battle is really like is an amazing opportunity, right? Because in so many ways, the fact that I'm a black man swimming professionally, the fact that I'm a black man with a physical disability swimming professionally, sets me in my own category, sets me in my own league, and I think gives me access to a lot of things that maybe people before me didn't have access to. Because by no means am I the only professional black swimmer out on the circuit. We're all out here doing our job. Being visible, making a difference that way. But I think a lot of ways my struggles and the things that at one point I thought were curses to me have really become the crux of the brand, and have really allowed me to reach so many people at such an early stage in my career.
And this is what I mean about role models, because the more people see the great things that you're doing, that's going to encourage a lot more people to get involved, a lot more black people from the community to get involved in swimming. And that's what Blacks Can't Swim is all about. One of the compelling reasons in modern times is reasons for people not to swim has been costs. When I speak to a lot of people in the deprived areas, the first thing that comes up is, I can't afford it. What's your view on this, or what's your advice on this when people say, I can't afford it?
Well, I honestly would say that's really kind of the business model behind my whole, pop-up swim school and aquaphobia clinics. Because when I sit back and I look at the current state of swim education, right, aquatic safety education, on one end you have like municipality programs that are extremely cheap, but just like most municipality programs, they're extremely overcrowded. Right, so like it's gonna be hard for you to learn in that environment. And then on the other end, you have these swim schools and things of that nature, right? But those are much more expensive, and they're also on a recurrent basis, right? So they're also like slowly matriculating you through this program because they want you to come back longer and longer and longer. So with this program, right, I know for a fact that given 10 days, right, Monday through Friday, 2 weeks, that we can teach people how to be water safe. And so when I first opened up the swim school here, the first location was actually the Mert Park. And so I kept getting calls in. And the lessons here, I'm only doing $26 a lesson for 10 lessons. So $260 to become water safe and be able to make forward progress across the pool. People, cheapest really in the nation for a fact. But people were calling in like, man, there's no way I can afford that. And, the conversations I was having with them are, obviously, like, my goal is to move to a point of non-for-profit, right? The Swim Pill Foundation, where we can afford to, I don't think I'll ever offer them for free, for the pure fact that, like, I think people value what they pay for, even if they only pay a little bit. So even if it's only $10 a lesson, I think it's super important to have people, to pay for education, right, to some small degree. But other than that, like, I tell people, listen, it's tough, man. It's really tough. I mean, like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. If you feel like, you got this, and this going on and you can't afford it, then it's too hard. But, again, the biggest thing for me is just, like, let's make it something, like, that doesn't have to be a long-term thing. Like, if you can get in and get out of a program in 2 weeks and be fully water safe and competent, and then if you want to progress after that, have that option, I think that's really what it's all about. Yeah, that's really what it is. Can we condense the learning curve, like, and stop being so greedy? Because that's really what one of the biggest barriers for people is. The industry is extremely greedy, right? They have this commodity people's lives have become a commodity, right? So, like, I want people to make money, right? I want business people, I want the professionals to be paid for their skills, but it's also like the masses need to learn. Right, the masses need to learn. So I tell people all the time, when you're trying to fix a problem, that ultimately should be the goal of your business, to go out of business. I skated around a few things. Let me know if I didn't really hit it there.
You hit the nail on the head, Jamal. Um, bearing in mind, we all know the importance of swimming from a life preservation point of view.
Hmm.
Do you think the media have a part to play in all this?
I don't think the media has that responsibility. Just in the sense that like, or maybe they do have the responsibility, but like I don't consider mass media to be responsible as it is right now, right? Like I think a lot of the news and things that we get are often like skewed, and it's very manipulative. The media as it is at present, the biggest way that we could have an impact right on that type of scale is to really start to get celebrity endorsements, right? So like this past summer, John Legend, right? Everyone know international, right? John Legend, the singer, he comes out and he's like, "Hey, I don't know how to swim. I want to take swim lessons." That's massive, right? And he's a figure in the black community, right? So many people in the NBA don't know how to swim, in the NFL don't know how to swim. And so like that's really kind of where my angle has been, to seek out celebrities that don't know how to swim, because it's like they are going to run the culture, right? The media is trying to shape our perception in way of, like brainwashing and things like that. But the celebrities ultimately shape the culture. They shape what's cool, and they shape what people want to spend their money on. And so I think like the more we can involve in, again, thank God for the advent of social media, the more we can involve celebrities or, influencers and impactors on their personal platforms, right, to get behind this mission, the more the people that follow them and care what they have to say are going to be likely to go ahead and like, oh man, so-and-so doesn't know how to swim. That's my favorite singer. Oh, that's my favorite politician. That's my favorite ball player. Like, man, I don't have to be embarrassed. Like, if they don't know how to swim and they're going to take lessons, maybe I should go take lessons. And I think it's really that simple.
Hey, that's why I'm speaking with people like yourselves. So here's one for in the deep end. Slavery. People say you've got to put the past in the past and look at the future. But others also say you've got to understand the past to be able to make things possible for the future. There's speculation that slavery had an impact on black people's attitude and our fears of water. What's your take on that?
I 100% appreciate a lot of this, right? So, like, I've read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joyce DeGruy, and lots of other literature of the subject. And really, I would just start off into this discussion by reverse, right? So, like, people always say, you got to know the history, right? Like, we were brought across on these boats, right? Or, that we weren't allowed access to the swimming pools in public, right? And when I hear these objections, obviously, they're valid. And I say, you're absolutely right. Okay, that's first and foremost. You're absolutely right. That is the history. And then I just challenge them with this, like, you would get in a whole lot of trouble for trying to learn how to read. That would cost you your life. Once upon a time, we weren't allowed to vote, right? Like, we didn't have access to the voting polls at all. Once upon a time, you weren't allowed to use that restroom at the same pace. Like, all of those things are changed now. Like, the access is much greater now. And though that is the history, right? Revolutionaries, right? And people who were not just happy with citing history alone have made that possible to be different nowadays. And so again, like when people tell me this, it's like, listen, you may have had some personal traumatic experience, and I do think like, oh, if there's something like my mom didn't know how to swim, her grandma didn't know how to swim, like, yeah, in a specific family lineage, that can definitely be a thing, but like, we know the history, but what is that stopping you from going and enrolling in a swim class? Of course you don't know if you've never taken the time to learn, right? When a child doesn't know how to read before they've been taught how to read, we don't say, oh yeah, post-traumatic slave syndrome, they didn't let us read, whoop, 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 like, it's been a lot of barriers to that. No, we take the time to teach the child to read. You know what I mean?
I surely do, and I surely agree with you on that. Body structure. And you probably know more about this one than most, as you're a professional swimmer. And you probably heard the stereotypes and the stigmas that blacks have heavier bones, our bodies shaped differently. So therefore, that is one of the reasons why we can't float and we can't swim. Do you think there's any truth in this?
Do I think there's no. the simple answer is no. Like, obviously, people have different body compositions. People from different parts of the world, have denser this or lighter this. But and to some great degree, is that why someone cannot swim or float, because their bones are more dense than this other, demographic or cultural region? Absolutely not. Just a simple thing I always tell people is, like, especially adults, right? Like, when you go to the docks or you go to the wharf and you see these ships with thousands of tons of steel on it, it seems commonplace. Like, oh man, yeah, of course that ship can float. But yet they'll come to me and be like, no, I'm too heavy for the water. It's like, so you're telling me that ship isn't too heavy for the water, but you, a few, maximum a few 100 pounds, is too heavy for the water. Absolutely not. It's all mindset, and it's a pretty toxic ideology that I think is accepted as truth, right? Like most things propagated by media, like people, they use hyperbolic language and exaggerate facts, right? So inconsequential difference.
So hair, there's a lot of talk about hair, and there's a lot of talk about women using that as a reason. And you noticed I didn't say excuse, a reason not to swim. What's your view on this?
Man, out of all the reasons, I would say this is probably the most real. Only thing I can say to my sisters out there is, listen, like, the water is a beautiful place. Like, I understand we all, we want our hair to look good. We want our hair to look nice. A lot of these ladies spend a lot of money to keep their hair a certain way, and absolutely, like, the water would mess that hairstyle up. Strategies that people use are braids and locks and twists at the same pace. Like, when I look at the professional circuit, one of the fastest women in the world, Simone Manuel, right, gold medal Olympian, her hair looks pretty put together all the time, right? But again, she's a professional athlete, so it's like she's not always in the debutante stage. She doesn't have to be at a 9 to 5 every day and have her hair whipped and curled and done. But that's definitely one of the greatest barriers. So I think, in way of that, like, there have been some pretty amazing companies that have launched, right, to fill that need. Companies like Swimmer Caps, who have like these massive swim caps that are like water sealed. Companies like Swim Scarf, who I'm about to partner with, who quite literally have created pretty much like a swim cap do-rag, right? That again prevents water from getting inside the swim cap. So there are innovations coming out, and that will allow these ladies to go ahead and pursue that. But it's a real reason. But again, like, if it's something that you want and it's something that you need, like, you're gonna make the time and like the availability to do it. You don't have to swim every day of your life, but if you need to learn how to swim, I think it's okay to wear your hair in some more economic style, right? Like, whether it be box braids or whether it be twists or whether it be individuals, for a couple weeks, just so you can have a skill to save your life, right? That's my 2 cents. I don't want to get in trouble with the ladies, but it is definitely a very real reason. Like, I hear that the most. It's something I have to be the most conscious of, and I think, like, who knows? Maybe at some point, like, we'll come up with some waterproof hairspray. I don't know, so where people can go swimming and their hair will be unaffected.
Well, so all those innovators out there, here's an idea. I have some news of my own. Today I went swimming. Well, I was swimming instructor, Mark Trude, Swimming Nature. I managed to sort my breathing out, because the problem I was having is that I could swim underwater, but as soon as I come out to breathe, my legs just go down and it all messes up. But finally, it's all come together today, whereby I could do the whole length, breathe in, breathe out, breathe underwater, come up and breathe in, and that kind of. So I'm very, very pleased with myself. This calls for celebration for me today, because it's one of the things that's been really, really bugging me, and I finally managed to overcome it. So yeah, I thought I'll share that with everyone.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now you're actually swimming. If you can swim on the surface, now you're actually swimming.
So I'll be joining you soon.
Wait for it, honestly, man. If there's one thing I'd love for you to come to Los Angeles, I mean, even if I make my way across the, well, I will make my way across the pond, maybe in 2020 sometime.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll definitely link up and do something properly. So what have you been up to? I know you're training hard for 2020.
Again, training hard every day, learning a little bit more about my body every day. Like I was telling you a little bit, me and my swim coach were currently working on a book. It'll probably be called something simple like Fear of Water. Really just designed to help people, overcome their fears and learn how to swim without even having a swimming pool. That's probably the most crazy thing. We're partnering with a brother out here named Idris Sandu, so that the book will have video content, so you could use your phone with the book, and if you hold your phone over certain images, videos will play. So that's a pretty big thing that we're working on. I'm really excited to officially become an author. Other than that, brother, the short documentary that my brother John Duarte made on me, that's been picked up by a film festival, so that'll be going on later this month in October. It'll be my first film festival feature. Very excited about that. Other than that, man, just trying to keep my head down, serve the people as best I can, make my family proud, and win some gold in Tokyo.
Hey, we all behind you. The whole you got a whole community that's going to be behind you by the time the time that Olympics comes around. So yeah, just do your thing, and thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to speak with myself and the world. And keep on doing your great thing, and let's get the message out there. Blacks can swim, and we will swim, and we shall continue to do so. Thank you very much, Jamal.
No doubt, brother Ed. Again, thank you so much for the work you're doing, for having me on your show today. Thank you so much for putting out your movie, man. I mean, pretty fantastic. I'm expecting a role, and Blacks Can Swim too. But we'll have a conversation about that.
Definitely, there's no doubt about that. Thank you very much, Jamal.